Welcome, and thank you very much for joining us in our town hall today regarding search generative experience with Google. Just a reminder to make sure all the information got out to everybody correctly. This is an exclusive event that we're holding for DOM clients. So thank you everybody that is joining us today live. And for those of you that had conflicts that are listening after the fact, we're going to be talking a lot about this for a while. But we want to make sure that the information went out to our clients first before we start talking to the general public in more detail the way that we are right now. So we're here to answer any questions that we can today for everybody. Just as background, I'm Justin Seibert. I know many of you. I'm the president of DOM. I founded this company in 2006, and I've been doing search marketing since 2001. And it is no exaggeration when I tell you that SGE has the potential to be the single biggest change that I've seen from an SEO perspective in Google since 2001 when I started. So there's been a lot of changes over the years, as you're aware, all sorts of algorithm updates, but this has major impact potential, and we want to just give you a chance to get out in front of it. So we've already been planning on our end how we can support you if we are doing SEO for you. So rest assured, we have those things in the works, and we'll continue to pivot as we go along. But the person on the call that really knows what he's talking about is Billy Wright. He is a senior digital marketing strategist here at DOM. He's the lead here, and he's been doing SEO for roughly a gajillion years, since the GeoCities days. Really excited to have him on here. And huge thanks to Billy. He is dealing with a cold today, but he is powering through to bring this to you. So we thank Billy very much for that. So you may see him go off camera once in a while, just if he needs to cough or anything like that. So Billy, thank you for joining us. A couple things before we get started, just so everybody's aware. You may only be working with us for one or two services, and we don't always do a great job of making sure you understand the breadth of things that we offer to our clients. So in addition to search engine optimization, in addition to Google Ads and paid search advertising management, we do a lot with analytics. We do a lot with digital advertising, social media, and otherwise. Through our first acquisition that we made last year, doing web design and development, conversion rate optimization, some of these other services that you see here. What I would ask everybody, and we'll make the ask again at the end of this, if you have not left a review for us, we would encourage you to please consider doing so. You certainly can leave one on Google, but if you see those logos that are on the left and in the middle, those are for Clutch and for G2. They are going to be a little bit more involved. Clutch will probably take you a good 10 or 15 minutes to leave a review. You can do that through email, or you can do it with a person actually on the phone. G2 is a little bit less cumbersome, but they are a really great way for our potential clients to hear what it's like working with us, the good, the bad, the in between. So if you consider leaving that review, we'd be most appreciative. And with that, that's all the housekeeping stuff out of the way. I'll just share that at any point, please feel free to use the Q&A. We will be monitoring those. So if you're putting in a question, maybe you just didn't hear what Billy said, or something along those lines, I'll interrupt and make sure that we can go over that again. Otherwise, if it's a question that's more specific to your situation and things that you want to know, we'll save those towards the end and we'll answer them at that time. We've also included some questions that we've received over the past week from many of our client meetings, some things that people have wondered and asked about. We want to make sure that everybody in the group would get the benefit of that. So with that out of the way, Billy, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Justin. All right. As it says here, let's get ready to rumble. You need to fasten your seatbelts because Google SGE is not a normal algorithm update. SGE represents a groundbreaking evolution in search technology. It's going to redefine how users interact with search engines and search engine results. This presentation is going to introduce you to SGE. It's an innovation reshaping the future of digital marketing and your presence within those search results. Historically, Google has always changed the algorithm repeatedly. They've had significant influenced SEO strategies, and it's influenced website rankings. They make a lot of updates, especially in the last few years here. Google has made thousands of updates per year. 2021 had over 5,000 Google algorithm updates. And from Panda to Hummingbird, each one of those algorithm updates has brought new challenges and opportunities for webmasters and SEO professionals. But this is different. SGE may be the biggest update the search engine giant has made in 20 years. So how does SGE compare to the other algorithm updates that Google has released? Unlike the previous ones, SGE is going to be introducing AI-driven interactivity, which will set it apart in its approach to search results. It's different because it marks a departure from their traditional algorithm updates. This is going to focus much more on user experience and authority and less on keyword density. Instead, the following things are going to be really important for your site: quality, experience, authority, recency of content, and the importance of your content. Those are going to have the biggest impact in your search result rankings. What is SGE? SGE, or Search Generative Experience, is the new AI-powered feature that is designed to enhance the search process through dynamic content generation. It's created for users, not marketers. It's marketed as creating a more intuitive and engaging search experience. They're going to use AI to create summaries and insights directly within search results, trying to make it so users don't have to click into your website to get answers to their questions. So, to make that clear, Google will be showing, instead of showing your content, Google's going to summarize it and deliver their version of your content. And they may or may not credit you for the content they've pulled to formulate their response. On the left here is a search for who is Abraham Lincoln. This is what currently shows in the normal current version of Google. Right now, Google returns what are called rich results, also known as the featured snippet or position 0 for search queries. This is the result Google finds to be the most relevant, related to, or important for the query submitted by the user. On the next slide, however, this is what you see if you Google who is Abraham Lincoln within the new version of Google that has SGE enabled. We have access to this. You can also get access to this, but you can see it is drastically different. Instead of pulling directly an image from the whitehouse.gov site and information, it has created its own summary of content from various websites, and you'll see a wonderful picture of Abraham Lincoln in front of an American flag in a tank top. With its new AI-powered overviews, Google SGE provides succinct, relevant summaries they have created at the top of search results, offering quick insights and information. And then to the right of that information, they frequently show some of the top sources and sites that they scraped to build that content, but they may not. Right now, there is no guarantee that they will continue to show the sources. In addition to showcasing their own content, SGE is also remarkably personalized. While search results do fluctuate right now throughout the day, Google SGE results fluctuate within seconds in many cases. Also, everything about the user matters. The user's location, their behavior, their past search history, demographic, all of your personal data, that all influences the websites that you will see over someone else moving forward. If SGE frequently shows content to a user and they don't click on it, or if they decide they don't want to follow or they click and ignore on the content, it'll actually impact whether a user sees content related to that website again. So, and when I say constantly changing, we mean constant. So on the right are searches for the keyword Ford brake kits. If you could hit down for me here. These are just 30 seconds apart. And what you'll notice is while they look identical at first, there's slight differences to the copy up top, mentioning different keywords and different aspects of the product, but also the fifth result in both of these is completely different. In some cases, the new SGE results are even more drastically different. Here's an example. If you were Googling how much does a wood deck cost because you're getting ready to start a project, you will see again, the top text here is very similar. It is only slightly different, but then there's different summaries down below, which may include different information and different numbers depending on how you're looking, who is looking, and when. The reason these are different is because Google is constantly switching out who they're pulling to scrape this data. For that, how much does a wood deck cost search? You can see the top result here. These are the first three sources they used for that first result. And then if we look at the second one, we see that they both use the first result, the first source as a source to scrape from, but they switched up where they were looking within 30 seconds for these other results. These shifts in both the rich results and the constant change of sources mean website owners need to change their strategies to compete properly in new search results design. This introduction of SGE will lead to changes in how websites are ranked and how they're displayed in search results. But also, this organic search visibility, your organic search visibility could be significantly impacted as SGE prioritizes AI-generated content over traditional search results. In addition to visibility, websites will experience changes in traffic patterns and click-through rates due to SGE's new way of presenting search information. It's important to remember, as SGE provides more information up front, users may click through to your websites less frequently, which will impact your website traffic. And when we say that, it's reported that there will be a significant impact across all websites. Websites that have especially optimized towards Google rich results with certain question and answers or certain information, they may see a distinct different approach in how their content is represented on the site. Those sites that rely heavily on rich results should anticipate adjustments in your visibility and engagement metrics. And don't be scared by this. But it's expected that websites that obtain their traffic from mostly rich results focused content could see a loss of 20 to 75% of their search traffic if they do not adapt to follow Google's recommended practices for SEO, content, or user experience with SGE. So that's a big number. Don't panic. You have to prepare. Website owners must strategize proactively to adapt to the changes brought about by Google SGE. Adapting your content, your SEO strategy is essential in responding effectively to the new SGE paradigm. Businesses need to reassess their digital strategies to ensure alignment with this evolving search landscape. And it is important to remember, you may not be able to continue doing what you're doing today if you don't have a really active SEO plan to get the same results. So what matters the most moving forward? And you've heard me, if you're one of my clients, you've heard me talk about this a lot. Authority. If you provide information to users, you must show why you are an authority on the subject to be relevant within Google SGE. Experience is a huge part of this. The site speed, the ease of use, the time it takes to make a purchase, how quickly a user can get what they're looking for on your website, all of this will now matter towards your rankings. Also, relevance. Writing content unrelated to what you sell, make, or provide as a service just to bring in traffic, that's not going to work anymore. If you're not an ideal result for a user, you're not going to be shown. Authority is everything. If you provide information to users, you're now going to have to show why you're an expert, who at your organization is the expert, and how they became an expert. Websites that do not provide this information are likely to experience a loss of rankings, visibility, and traffic as Google shifts to only show users information from sources with authority. This is very important to remember. You have to begin giving Google a reason to believe you over your competitors when you deliver information. Experience is also everything. If your website is difficult for a user to navigate, if it's slow or cumbersome, or if finding the products are complicated, all of this is going to impact your rankings and traffic moving forward. Think about this. Can a user see reviews of the products or services you're providing? Can they quickly find the pricing information about the services you offer? If a user cannot see this easily, then neither can the Google bot. If using your website is complicated or clunky, your rankings will be as well in SGE. So you have to also show, why are you relevant to the search? Google SGE wants to deliver the most relevant, likely to be clicked and enjoyed content to its users. You have to show them why you're relevant, why your website is more important and ideal for a user than your competitors. Writing content just to grab search traffic that's irrelevant to what you're actually selling will no longer net you the rankings it once did. This is extremely important and something Google has talked about frequently about SGE. If you and your competitors are providing the same product or service, why should Google care enough about your website to show it instead of your competitor? Why are you more relevant to the query? Images are also much more important within Google SGE. The images you include alongside your written content will have significantly more importance than they do today, in some ways working to help drive clicks into your content. Within those top suggested results within SGE now, Google is going to utilize the featured images in a page in a uniquely cropped size to differentiate the results. In the search for pizza places near me, which of these results looks more captivating to you? Is it the ones with the logo, the ones without any images at all, or the ones with an image clearly acting as almost an ad showing the product itself? So when is this happening? Google has not publicly stated when Google SGE will go live in its public forum, but the feeling within the SEO and digital marketing industry is that it's going to happen soon. Some sources have speculated that it will happen as quickly as this month. Some believe it will be released in the spring of 2024. But, and I've written here, in any scenario, it is unlikely that Google will make an announcement before it is pushed out to the global user base. It will be sudden when it is released. So what are our recommendations here? So Dom has crafted strategies to align with Google's best practices for a post-SGE world in search for a while now. Our SEO plans and operations are all aligned with the needs of your websites during this shift. While we cannot predict everything that's going to happen, we have been working to implement best practice and standards that should still work for years to come. There may be additional needs your website has to meet these challenges moving forward, whether it's site speed, whether it's content creation. We have the resources to assist in web development, content creation, authority building to help guide your site to success within SGE. And a reminder here, we are making these recommendations today based on what we know and expect right now. Things are going to change. We're going to add to and adjust our recommendations as Google makes their updates. Throughout our work with you, all clients have received recommended best practices regarding site speed, user experience, authority building, and technical site health fixes that we believe will help secure you against losses from SGE. If you've received information from us about how you need to build authority in your websites, we're being serious. It is important. These recommendations have been based on industry-wide best practices, recommendations from experts at Google itself, and the results of our own internal testing and experimentation here at DOM. We will continue to provide recommendations, plans of attack, and new strategy documents to ensure a smooth transition into the new post-SGE search results. Again, we're recommending these based on what we know today. Things will change and we will adjust.
Awesome. Thanks, Billy. Appreciate that. So thanks, folks that have started to put in questions. We'll get to that in a second here. Just want to talk about next steps. So if you are currently an SEO client, all we really ask is just review our recommendations and discuss those on your next team call and subsequent team calls from there. So we want to make sure that we're putting you in a position to succeed. And like Billy talked about, there's a reason we're asking for the things we're asking you for, and making sure that we can partner together just like we always have to be successful for you. He threw up some scary numbers before in terms of potential losses. We want to make sure that those aren't going to happen to you. Be aware that things could still take a dip, just like when you do an SEO migration. So we want to plan for making that dip as small as possible and the duration of that dip to be as short as possible and to get you back where you need to go to grow. If you are a client that doesn't do SEO work with us, but you do another type of work, go ahead and ask your client success manager for an SEO audit. We're happy to do that for free for you. We're going to do a general SEO best practices, and then we are going to do an SGE audit as well, based, again, as we have the caveats all of our slides for what we know today and what we're expecting based on our research, based on what other people are saying in the industry and what our testing has shown. So we're happy to put that together for you, and then we'll walk that through with you to give you a chance to prepare on that end. And then, just like we mentioned before, please consider leaving a review on Clutch or G2 with us. And then besides that, we're always looking to grow. And so if you'd be so kind, if you're happy with what we've done for you, and help us help the people you know grow their businesses as well. So we're always looking for referring colleagues. That's a great source of business for us, word of mouth. We'd love to help the people that matter to you. All right, with that pitch out of the way, let's jump into questions. Again, I see some questions in here, and I will also go to the ones that we put together before. Great question from Tina. Tina, you actually hit the first one that we were planning on going to. So Billy mentioned that there is a way to take a sneak peek at SGA sample SEO results. How is that available?
Sure, absolutely. There's a section within Google called Google Labs that may be confusing to get to without proper documentation. We've written an article that's on the website right now about SGE and whether or not you should be afraid for your website. In that article, and we can send out a link, it shows explicitly how you can sign up for SGE yourself to try to test it on your own website.
Thanks, Billy. And again, we'll make sure we get a copy of that to you. But if you just are on your computers right, well, you're obviously on your computer, your phone right now. If you want to navigate to the blog section of our website, it should be the most recent or the next most recent post that's up there. And then there's the link that Billy just mentioned directly in that post. All right. So, Billy, what should we be doubling down on now to make sure we experience as little disruption as possible?
I mean, the two biggest things that I've talked about constantly are authority and experience. So if you do not already have profiles of everyone that creates the content on your website with information as to why their experience and expertise is important, that's necessary. You need to have that on your site, especially if you work within healthcare or financial sector. Those things are extremely important to Google already, and they're going to be much more important as you go into SGE. Outside of that, when you create content, you should start to create content that is really serving users' needs. So if you have very lean, thin product pages and there's not a lot of information on those pages, if you don't carry reviews on your site and show a star rating for products and services that you offer, or you don't show pricing information for the services you offer, all those things are going to be extremely important, and they're going to be something that sets your competitors apart from you. So getting that on your site as soon as possible is really important.
Thanks, Billy. And related to that, potentially, you've been doing SEO successfully for a long time, and you're used to seeing the articles come up every year that link building is dead. Thoughts on link building and how that may change, or how Google views links, or what it's going to expect in a post SGE world?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a significant shift in how backlinks are actually viewed by Google. There's been kind of a philosophical shift regarding do follow and no follow backlinks, which are complicated to talk about here, but I think backlinks will prove to still be important, but in a different way. They may not be as important anymore as the actual authority you show about the people on your site. It may be more important to get links to the actual people who are writing content on your website, showing they're more authoritative to Google.
Interesting. So, in other words, kind of building up the profile of the authors on the website and showing Google that they know what they're talking about. Did I interpret that correctly?
Creating legitimacy. Exactly.
Yeah, and I'll just make another pitch. You went over this a little bit, but if you are still have blog posts on your site that are written by admin, we really need to do away with that. So we want to make sure we have author boxes, have somebody that has a good CV, that they have background information. We're going to have author boxes that explain who they are and why they matter and why the reader should trust them. But that's going to be really critical. It's something that kind of rolled out with Google's EEAT, but it's going to become even more critical if I'm understanding you correctly now, Billy.
Exactly. Yeah, for real. One thing to think about is if your competitors have multiple authors writing content on their website and those authors have biographies showing why they're important, why would Google trust you, who only has admin as the author and one single author on everything, more than them, where they've shown a pattern of people involved in the industry with expertise writing? It's going to be much more important to flesh that out.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, question from David. Can you elaborate on the recency aspect? Why does Google actually care about that? And does that mean that content will always need to be rewritten to keep it recent?
So the last part of that is still up in the air. The first part of that is that Google cares much more about delivering relevancy to a user. If content is outdated, if it was written prior to COVID, if it was written before certain changes happened within the industry, it's going to be much less relevant to a user than something that was written last week by an authoritative site. So recency can impact your rankings already today. We've already done lots of experimentation internally here to determine whether recency is important. It is extremely important. It also shows Google that you care about the subject when you touch up content that has been already created and been out for a while. So showing that you care about what you've created, that you've updated with more recent information for the user, that is also seen as positive. That seems to have a positive impact on your rankings.
Awesome. So that's really taking kind of just general past best practices. It sounds like historical optimization is really still an opportunity here.
It is. As long as you change the dates. If you say, you know, this has been updated 11/30/2023, we've added this much information. Now there's a source on the article with a human being tied to it. This is their background. All of that's going to have an impact on your content.
Thank you. Question from Michael. So how do we add content or control access to that content so that we do not educate our competitors? And so, Michael, if you want to add to that, I'm wondering if you're asking also about from the perspective of like pricing or sensitive data that maybe you don't want to be out there from a competitive standpoint, or if you're talking more general expertise, knowledge expertise that's your subject matter's expert. So, Bill, I'll let you answer it however you want. But again, Michael, if you want to add more details to that. Oh, he just jumped in, said technical information.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the technical information if it's relevant to someone making a purchase. If it's relevant to someone making a purchase or hiring a service, then it's going to be important that it's delivered to a user. You know, perhaps it's something you gate behind a sign up, as opposed to giving to Google. But if your competitors are giving it to Google and they're showcasing explicitly what they're doing and why, Google is going to prefer that content because they can get more information, they can glean more understanding of what's being offered than something that has it hidden or blocked from being crawled. If your competitors are doing it and they're ranking for it, it's likely that Google prefers that. And so that's going to have an impact.
Yeah, it's always a balance, right? Like if we have this discussion or we have these challenges every time that we will advise you from an SEO perspective what you need to do, we believe, in order to have success. We never get 100% of what we like. There's business reasons or technical challenges or other reasons that we can't implement everything that we would like to do. So it's always a balancing act. So Michael, if there's certain things that you don't want to share, totally respect that. But at the end of the day, depending on what the keyword is that you're trying to rank for, if I'm understanding you correctly, Billy, you're going to have to put that information out there in order to have a chance to rank for it. I liken it to, you know, we had clients in the past, maybe even some of you that are on the call, that want to rank for competitors' names.
Yes.
And you're just not going to have a chance to do that unless you're actually talking about the competitor and comparing them to you. And then you have a chance to rank for like competitor versus types of terms. But if you're not ranking for, or excuse me, if you're not talking about the competitor, you're just not going to have a chance to compete for it. So anything that you want to own, you're going to have to be talking about it in detail. And to Billy's point, looking at what the competition is doing, because you're going to have to do a better job in more detail than what they're doing to outrank them.
Yeah, and not to go too long on this, but imagine you're providing a service and you have decided not to put the pricing on your website. You don't want to show pricing at all until someone signs up so that they're a lead. What is to stop someone from getting that information off of you and putting it up themselves on a, here's the pricing for all these different software packages site, and then ranking above you?
Yeah, thank you. And that's a conversation we have all the time. For those of you that have Jonathan Benz that works on your account, he's been beating that horse with me personally and our website for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years now. So it is a business decision of what you want to do. But to Billy's point, it'll just limit what you're able to accomplish. Have another question from, I'm going to combine two here because they're both related to images. So from Tina, how important is alt text for images in SGE? And then from Elizabeth, how should we optimize images for the results?
Yeah, excellent questions. Alt text, even more important than it is today, I would say. You're giving Google a lot of information about the context and the source of the images, especially if you're going to be using AI generated images. Google is going to want to know various things about the images you're using. How should you optimize them? I mean, currently we have recommended best practices for images today, whether it's image size, whether it's the file name, the alt and title text of what you use within the site. The additional change there is that there may be different sizes that need to be created when you create featured images for an article so that they properly fit within the new SGE results. You also need to look at images maybe in a different way than you did previously. The amount of images that are used within content is important. So you can show Google it's not just a white wall of text. We're not just writing for SEO. We're actually writing for someone to enjoy this piece of content by breaking up the content with images. But additionally, those images can act almost like ads themselves. And so if those images are trying to direct a user into clicking it, and that's showing within the search results, that's going to impact your click-through rate as opposed to just an actual normal photograph. So there may be changes that need to be made to what you're doing on the site.
And Billy, on that front, any commentary around image formats, like using next-gen image formats versus historical ones like GIFs and things like that?
Yeah, good. So don't get me started on GIFs. But JPEGs are mostly fine in many cases, but Google is really recommending you use WebP for a lot of things. It's a new image format that'll load a lot quicker. Google has built their own tools to help you reduce image sizes. There's one called Squoosh.app. We can include that in some kind of comment here. Getting images reduced in size is really important. If you are loading images that are over 100 kilobytes on your website, they're too big. If you can use WebP to help reduce that and make them faster, that's great. But if you can't, you have to get that size under control within a JPEG or PNG format. Animated GIFs, no, don't use animated GIFs.
All right, since you brought up animated GIFs, HTML5?
We can have a longer conversation about that, I think, but use HTML and not Java as much as possible to deliver this content to Google, because they're going to have a much harder time understanding and scraping through that data.
Thank you. So from Aleph, what impact will this new search good, we're getting into ads. What impact will this new search experience have on Google advertising real estate, PMAX, shopping, etc.?
Yeah, so it's going to have an impact. They're not very explicit yet in what it is going to actually result as. They're doing a lot of testing right now, showing different placements of ads on the top page. But the biggest thing to consider is that there's going to be a lot less people showing organically, and a lot less people who are getting the traffic they're getting today. So that's going to result in much more competition of people trying to recover that traffic because they're not getting what they used to have. That will likely increase spend, but it'll also likely increase, the way you bid on ads, the way ads are placed, the types of ads that are placed. It's going to have a significant impact.
Yeah, Google is absolutely betting that this is going to increase their revenue on the advertising side. They're getting a lot more prominence, just like Billy's talked about, all of those organic listings, true organic listings, not their AI generated content, is going to be pushed down a lot farther. So you're going to have more people that are looking to have ads as a way to kind of combat SEO losses, is my expectation on that front. What'll be really interesting to see more from a midterm play, and this is just conjecture on my part, is, like I give presentations pretty frequently to different business groups. And whenever we talk about this, I always have, one person say, well, I never look at ads, right? I skim right by them and we go straight into the next results. And I'll see other people nod in the room. If Google isn't updating and making sure that the quality score of those ads is high and that the relevance of those ads are high, then they're going to have a real problem on their hands where they could potentially force people to stop using Google. I think Google's too smart for that to happen. I think they're going to counteract that and not go too crazy on the advertising side. But in the short term, for sure, I think you're going to see a lot more people, you're going to see ads become a lot more relevant, in addition to getting those top spots organically become more relevant, where maybe before you got pretty good click-through rates on like a 7th organic position, and now maybe you really need to be in a 3rd organic position or something like that to be able to compete.
Yeah.
Okay. And please keep those Q&As coming. I'm going to fill in with some other ones that were asked this week by you all in your team meetings. How will Google Business results work? Do we expect these local listings to be largely
Yeah,
unimpacted?
I think there's going to be a significant shift. We actually have a slide in here where I look for a pizza place near me in Squirrel Hill. You can see within that slide the way Google is delivering information is keep going back, yeah, it's very different from how they're doing it today. Here we go. So right now on the left, I live in Squirrel Hill in Pittsburgh. It's a neighborhood with lots of great pizza. On the left is what you see today, and on the right is how Google's delivering that information. It's pulled from many more sources than just Google business profiles. It's including websites that they trust within there, and it includes summaries. You also notice that they're different results than what it's showing on the left. So it is going to have a significant impact. There may be a change in the way Google shows their local map pack, depending on the type of search. Things that require more reviews or personal opinions, like pizza places, as opposed to someone who's decidedly or objectively the best locksmith or something in an area, that's going to have an impact. It's also really important already today. There was an algorithm update that went out, and it's going to get improved, that the images you have within Google Business influence your ranking now. So if you have a lot of information of what you do and your location, and those are optimized well towards SEO, Google will understand the context of those images, and they'll pull you up more when someone searches for keywords relevant to the images in your Google Business profile.
Thank you. And to kind of, you've addressed these, but I just want to call them out a little bit more. Two related questions, because I think it comes down to the crux of where if people have any trepidation or any nervousness or any fear right now, I think this gets to the heart of it. So related questions. Number one, what should we be doubling down on now to make sure we experience as little disruption as possible? And then number two, how do we determine what we should be prioritizing?
Yeah, I mean, in many cases, we've given you what we believe your priorities should be right now as it comes to optimization and changes to the site. So if you've heard me repeatedly say we need to build more authority on the website, that's because one of your biggest needs is building authority. So if we're recommending adding profiles to your site, putting human beings to the content and having a name that wrote these things, that is because we see it as a significant potential impact on your site. Outside of that, experience, whatever control you have over the experience of your website, making it easier for people to use and making it faster, those are already important today, but they're going to be much more important. And that's why we've gone so hard on trying to influence site speed and user experience recently.
Thanks, Billy. So what I'm hearing on the first part of it is, at least for those clients that have been SEO clients, and again, if you're a client of ours in another service, we're happy to do an audit for you. But we're already working on giving you those recommendations, or have been giving you those recommendations for what we think matters. But what we can also do is make sure that, especially if you're trying to sell the potential impact of this within your organization, and making sure that you're getting buy-in and support either from above or from others that are influencers in what can be done to the website, we certainly can. We're happy to hop on a call with people. We're happy to, write up some recommendations in maybe a super high level, non-technical way that maybe like the C-suite can understand, that, isn't in the day-to-day of this. So we're happy to make your job easier in selling this throughout the organization on that front.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. What impact will these changes have on mobile versus desktop?
Yeah, so right now, we've shown a lot of slides within desktop. The pizza place near you, I believe those were actually mobile results. There's going to be a significant change in mobile search results from SGE. If you already have access and you've been testing it, you'll notice how different they look compared to the traditional mobile results. A lot more personalization. There's a area, sometimes a few results down after Google has shown some organic websites, they'll show more content from Google being generated. So it's just even more of a shift of pushing those organic results further down and getting more Google content in there. If you're relying on mobile visibility right now and you do not have a good site experience, and you are not showing authority on your site, you're likely to be significantly impacted by the mobile version of SGE.
And then question about video. What kind of content should we be making in general? And should we be doing more video content?
Absolutely should always be doing more video content. Even today, it's going to have a big impact on your site and your capabilities of ranking. You also have to consider that YouTube is essentially a second search engine that you can get visibility within, and it should be treated as a search engine target for content. The kind of content you create should be optimized to both users and for search. So when you create content about a subject or for your brand or for a product, there are criteria that we recommend at DOM for how to build those videos in a way that is captivating, but also helps captivate the bot. Talking about the product that you're reviewing or you're offering, talking about whether it's a review or whether you're showcasing how a product is used, the actual scripts and content within the video are all very important. Google's AI can already read within a video and tell you exactly what the video is about and who is talking and what the actual conversation is and the sentiment analysis of that video. So all of that is important.
Thank you. You know, I'm going to ask this question, put you on the spot, just because I get this in crowds all the time. For video content, comments on embedding YouTube videos versus another source.
Yeah, so I'm a YouTube stalwart when it comes to SEO. I'm going to recommend YouTube all the time for embedding. Wistia and other sites sometimes have pretty weird speed issues when it comes to using them to embed content, which will impact your overall site speed. There are ways to implement and embed YouTube content a lot faster than maybe the traditional way people just do it quickly. I'm going to recommend YouTube all the time because you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. You're optimizing the video and getting that video content on YouTube to get visibility, and you're also showcasing it on your site at the same time.
Well, thank you. And then we have a few more questions that are here, and we'll just keep going and use up the whole hour if we have it. If not, we'll let people go. But again, reminder, if you have additional questions, please throw those into the QA. Are there any new metrics or KPIs we should really be tracking differently than what we're tracking now with SGE?
Yeah, so, a lot of things are going to change, and we don't have a full view of everything that they're going to release here coming forward. But it's pretty much expected that the way you get impressions within SGE is going to be a KPI that is measured within Google Search Console or potentially within analytics. There are likely KPI changes that will happen that are not public yet. Right now, I think impressions is a big thing to pay attention to within Google Search Console. There'll be some optimizations made to that and some changes made, I believe, as soon as SGE goes live with different, did you show up in the top 3 pack? Did you show up within maps? I would pay attention to a lot of the advancements that are happening in Google Search Console recently.
Thank you. And sorry, just picking through these. Any particular challenges you want to call out? And I'm not sure how you want to answer this. I think you have a couple different ways, but any potential challenges we might face with the implementation of Google SGE?
Challenges in regards to losing traffic or in regards to the actual rollout of it, I'm not sure. It's likely that this is going to release in English-speaking countries first. People will probably see an impact overnight, and that's going to be harsh. With large algorithm updates in the past, like with Panda and Hummingbird, people saw a significant change in their traffic and their impressions overnight, and they had to adjust. I think what's important is to realize that there's going to be a little bit of a long game here in understanding how Google deals with the content. They're not giving away everything as to how they are prioritizing these things or how they're ranking some of these new things within SGE. But significant challenges to that, I honestly, like, if I could get a tattoo of one of the things I'm talking about here, it'd be authority. You need to build up authority on your website. And if you're not doing that today, it is necessary, especially if you're providing information about medical conditions or for financial information or a software. You need to have markup as to why that's being recommended and why you're an expert over someone else.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Thank you. We have a question from Casey. I'll jump in on part of this. So it seems like businesses will rush back to Google AdWords to try to make up for lost ground, although this won't be a true fix. Can you talk about SEM in response to this? One of the things that Google is trying to promise, and I think Microsoft to some degree as well, is better ads that are more relevant to what the person is searching for. I think the idea of that is going to be better than the execution is going to be on that for some time to come. So I don't think that ads are going to catch up, whether it's how creative individual advertisers can be, or in terms of what Google tries to do with its machine learning to put out there. They're trying to make those ads adjust in real time. They're going to be better answers to what the person's searches are. I think that as advertisers get used to this, those that are most nimble, those are the savviest, will find ways to be able to adjust to it. But the problem is, or a challenge that I anticipate, is that you're going to get some really specific granular questions. Like if you think about like a lot of the examples they've shown have been around like trying to plan for travel. And so what my family might be looking for is very different than what my college freshman might be looking for example, in terms of travel experiences. And I think they're going to get some really granular searches as part of that. And where Google Ads has been moving over the last several years is to try to get you to be less granular and less specific, and allow you to put more faith into Google's machine learning of adjusting when you show what keywords to run on. They want you to run on broad match. So again, I think there's going to be a natural tension for what the promise is versus what the tools will be available for you to be able to meet that promise. So long-winded answer of I just don't think it's going to work as well as Google thinks in the beginning. And so in that beginning, I think you're right, Casey, that the natural response you're going to get from people is just throw more money at it and to advertise more often to make up for losses on the SEO side. But I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
No, I think that's exactly right. But I also think, right now, the way quality score is determined with Google's bot that works alongside ads is a lot more akin to the older version of Google and the Google algorithm. I think that will shift too. So if you're not following the same kind of standards for SGE for your content and your organic search, that's going to likely impact your paid performance as well too. It's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, thank you. And then question from Tina, and I've seen variations of this a lot, either in public or in community forums. Do you feel Bing will jump on this soon, as they tend to fall in line with what Google does? It seems like whatever optimizations are done for Google will be beneficial for Bing. That's 100% right, especially on the advertising side. You see a lot of copycat stuff. In some ways, though, Microsoft has been beating out Google in terms of AI as part of this, and they're leading the way. If you look at what ChatGPT has done, it's been at the forefront of this. Google released Bard to some hilariously bad results in the beginning. They just made an announcement and put together some stats in terms of their next version of it, called Gemini, is going to be coming out. We're not sure exactly when. It's going to be a lot more powerful, at least according to the results that Google has released from its own internal testing. It's potentially more powerful than GPT-4, at least more so than as it exists today. So I think that Microsoft actually has a step ahead for once in its life on Google. The challenge is Google has so much dang more market share than Microsoft that even if Microsoft still starts to chip away at it, it has a long way to go to supplant Google on that front. And it's going to be over a period of time if it happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Bing has already implemented their partnership with OpenAI within search results, so you can get ChatGPT essential answers within Bing. That the people that have been featured within that content have had a significant change in the amount of traffic that they used to receive from Bing. I would bet that that is an astronomically higher percentage of traffic that you could get from Google, or that you will get from Google if you're featured compared to what's in Bing. But yeah, it's had a big impact on Bing search results already. Yeah, it's impactful.
Awesome. And then will our organic social media strategy impact our performance with Google?
Yes, we did not talk about that much in this deck at all, but organic social is really important because it shows that you're a human being with actual relevancy to what you're talking about. Having a really healthy organic social strategy that includes optimizations towards keywords and copy, that will get you featured within these search results. They really want to compete with people like TikTok, who are providing a lot of answers now for people who are querying things and giving personal content. Google doesn't want to lose the social aspect of it. There's a feature that's coming up that's not exactly part of SGE, but will be showing up in the spring, where you're going to be able to leave comments and vote upvotes and downvotes on all search results. It's still in beta testing right now, but organic social is going to have a huge impact, and Google's also trying to incorporate social within their own results moving forward.
I'm sorry, I'm getting these horrible flashbacks of Google Plus when you just said.
It's like an advanced Google Plus mixed with TikTok. Yep.
And then, and I'm wondering if this actually, if that somewhat relates, at least in part, to what Casey's question is here. So for authority, well, I guess I'm wondering, I'll ask Casey's question, then I might circle back to it, because I'm curious, when you were talking about the importance of the authorship and building links back to individual authors, if that individual author's social media usage will be important as well.
In short, yes. So, I can't see the question in front of me, but I'm assuming they're asking whether they can have a voice on it, and then the business writes the articles, but there's an author, like someone additionally added into it. You need to write up exactly who the author is as part of that markup. So having a human being that's attached to that author is incredibly important. It's actually more important in a different way too with healthcare related information. It's important to write who the author was, but then you also can show this has been reviewed by the following medical experts or team, and then showcase their credentials as well. So having a specific author is great. Getting it, having a team of people who have looked at that content is even better.
And so, and I cut myself off in relaying her question exactly. So you sort of addressed it, but let me make sure I say the full thing to give you a chance to fully respond to it. So for authority, do we have to say author, or can we say content provided and reviewed, and more from the aspect of just how to handle if there's ghostwriting that somebody else in the organization is writing it, but it's ultimately being approved by a subject matter expert?
Just like a book, if there's a ghostwriter, don't include the ghostwriter. Put who you want the author to be within that markup. If you have it reviewed by other people, that's great. Include them, but there should be a specific author for that piece of content.
Awesome, thank you. And then I know we've gone back and forth on this as Google made changes to its guidelines and everything else, but I think it's related to this topic. In academia, I believe one of the best practices they're still asking people to do is that if you're using AI as part of your content generation, that you acknowledge that in that author box or somewhere, in the notations around it. From an SEO perspective, is that something you'd recommend, or how important is that?
I would not recommend it currently, but I do think it needs to be, taken into consideration that, a lot of people are creating content with AI. Google is going to understand that content is written by AI in a lot of ways. The bots are already smart enough to understand when things have been written by a third-party piece of software. Why would it trust that content over something that's been written by a human being or edited by a human being that has a persona attached to it? I don't know if you explicitly have to state that you're using AI at this point. I think it's more you have to specify, why should Google care about this AI generated content?
Thank you. I have one more I'm going to read. I'll open the lines. So if anybody wants to get one last question in for QA, go ahead and type that in. I'll take the first person that responds. If there's anybody, but the one other prepared one I had that was asked previously, will this, or how will this change our keyword strategy?
In some cases, depending on what your target market is, it can impact your keyword strategy pretty dramatically. If um, you know, if you were trying to just answer every question and get the search results for that in the past, that may have been extremely effective. Moving forward, that will change because Google can just scrape that content from your website and deliver it themselves, with likely not even showing you as a result to click on. I think there's going to be a big impact and a big focus on your product pages, your service pages, your location pages, and your homepage. So, blogs used to be the biggest thing that people push to try to really expand out their keyword strategy so they could really get as many keywords as possible into a website. Now I think it's much more likely that we'll be optimizing a product page and making it as robust as possible with every variation of the potential keyword, comparisons to competitors, how it was reviewed, how the product's been tested. It's going to change your keyword strategy in a implementation kind of way.
Awesome. Thank you. On that front, Billy, I want to thank you for powering through and doing this, especially when you're not feeling 100%. To everybody that's on the call, thank you. We will send a copy of this to you, so you're going to get a recording of the webinar. And if you have any additional follow-up questions, please just reach out to your client success manager or your strategist, and we can make sure that we get those answers questioned for you. But thank you very much for your partnership. We appreciate everything, and have a wonderful day.